we're going to kind of run over how that's going to look for today, and then we're going to then jump right on into it. So the way it stands right now, we're already 5 minutes late, and that's the way we're going to roll. We're just going to stick to your Campbell time. We'll have an icebreaker. Then we're going to have a section called Who Dat. And the Who Dat will jump in and out of our ceremonies today. We'll be randomly surprised by cousins that are living but not here, and we have to try to figure out who that is. We'll have a family history presentation. We're going to talk about Glencoe from the Campbell perspective. We'll have voices of the past and family reports. And during family reports, we're just going to pass the microphone around and give us as much detailed and interesting and colorful stories about what's going on in all your people. We don't want to live in Montgomery, work in furniture, and I've got 3 kids, and then pass the mic. We don't want you doing that. We want you to get in there and tell us something interesting and what's going on. We'll have a magician who, unfortunately, will probably be on time. Come entertain us for about half an hour.
Who's got a contract?
Yeah, and then Owl's going to do some breathing, stretching, and some other yoga type stuff for us to get the blood flowing and get our head straight for lunch. We'll jump straight into lunch, go back into family report stories and some more Who Dat. And at 2 o'clock, we'll get into the Highland Games. And I read some of the contest events, and it made my knees hurt just reading the descriptions of what we got to do. So that's where the young people are going to have to really show us what they're made of. And we'll watch with much enthusiasm. And then there's a family talent show. So if you're feeling so moved, you have unusual, stupid human tricks or interesting talents that you want to share with us, we are all eyes and all ears. We'll break at 5, and then at 6 o'clock we'll jump into the Mountain Trout Banquet and awards. Who knew we're going to receive awards for coming to the Campbell family reunion? So we will, and that will be here, Bill, is that correct? The trout supper, is that going to be here?
That'll be at the clubhouse, the golf
Clubhouse.
club. Yeah.
Okay, up the road. Okay, up the road. All right, and then Sunday, we'll just kind of go ahead and talk about Sunday. If y'all feel so moved, get up and walk. Go for a walk in the Lake Coffee Trail, near the pavilion.
Right here.
Okay, right off here. And then we'll have some painting session with still life, some story swapping, visiting, and more outdoor games. Of course, plenty of food. The food this morning was fantastic. Everybody that pitched in on that, I was glad to get a biscuit. I was glad to get a biscuit. All right, lunch at the Slope View Restaurant, 606 Beach Mountain Parkway. There's a copy. Are there more copies of this floating around?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now make sure you've registered, you paid your money, got your T-shirt, got your family directory. Make sure you've done all that. If you've not, talk with Bill Campbell, who says I'm the master of ceremonies, so we know who's really the master of ceremonies.
I just run the machine.
All right, and then from 2 to 5, it's kind of a free play. Go out, do what you want to do, have a little fun, or go to Bill's cabin and do some more. You can paint for 6 hours tomorrow with cousins, the way this reads. 6 to 12, 2 to 5.
Short section,
Then, of course, 11 o'clock tomorrow, we'll start taking down all the presentations and the art, start packing up and saying our goodbyes and all that kind of stuff. All right, let's see. So, first up, you want to do the icebreaker with Liz? Is that how you want to do it?
Liz.
All right, Liz.
Got her, Liz.
There we go. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, we've got Sarah and Laurie walking around to bring you all a copy of your game card. Just when we get you good and seated, we're going to get you up, walking around. And as with most icebreakers, this one's intended to kind of force a little conversations, just to get to know each other just a little bit better, but real fun, easy fun, nothing challenging. We're going to give you about 15 minutes to make up a little bit of time. We're going to give about 15 minutes once I say go. And it's not a race, really about just genuine connections to learn a little bit about each other. When it's over and I call time, I'll get everybody to write your name on the back, on the solid white side. Go ahead and do it now if you want to do that. I'll collect all your cards and we're going to draw some out for prizes. So,
What you gonna do?
I'm going to go making sure everybody gets the card. Okay. So if you look on the card, in each square there's a little orange-red line. I want you to write the name of the person you find in the room who has that, has visited Scotland. I would also ask that if you know your husband went to Scotland, don't put their name. Go find someone else. Okay? Try to reach out of your normal circle, the people you travel here with, and try to get some names on here. But anyway, fill in the names. Try to get as many as you can. And then I'll call time. We'll take up the cards and hand out some prizes. All right? Any questions?
Yeah, would you repeat everything?
All right, kids, y'all got one? Very good. Y'all have fun. Up and at 'em.
All right, here we go.
All right, good.
Bill, you've been married more than 25 years. You've been married more than 25 years, haven't you? All right. Right, okay.
All right, we have 3 prizes. Meg Campbell wins a prize. And Meg, for you, we have a Campbell Tartan journal. You're so welcome. And then we have Van.
Oh, yeah.
Where's Van? Van, we have a Campbell family slogan made by Laurie Aiken Evans here. Right there. Wonderful. And then Lizzie Brooks. Where's Miss Lizzie? Lizzie, you've got a Campbell Tartan key fob.
Right.
You're welcome. And again, thank you everybody for participating. I hope you had fun.
Thank you, Lee.
I'm going to say that's one of the better icebreakers I've ever participated in. Generally, that's some sort of series of very painful events. But, I took a picture of it because we just got back from my wife's reunion. I got suggestions for them. All right, you want to do a little who dat?
Let's do it.
Let's do a little who dat.
All right, let's see if this is working here. Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Let me get my cheat sheet out here. All right, this is slide
Okay.
number 1 on who dat.
First person to find.
First person. Now, if you've got a family directory, this is a great time to open that book and start using it. It's an open book quiz. And you want me to kind of read and give them a hint?
Well, let's wait. Let's see if they get it.
All right, let's get a picture. Okay, who dat?
First one in the book.
Who is it? Who got it?
Right here.
Okay.
Leah, Ruth. I do not know how to say that last name.
Well, we know you got it because nobody can pronounce it. That's right. She is the daughter of Patty Tuttle Tyre. All right. Let's do one more who dat, and then we'll move on to the next thing. All right, who dat? He's got a little dancing bear on his shirt. Seems like a fun guy.
Joshua Quaid Campbell, page 15.
Okay. Wow. Man. All right. Do we need some who dat prizes, or are there who dat?
Yeah, that's who
Okay.
dat prize.
All right, let's do some who dat prizes. Okay, we got what we got there? Looks like there we go, and a keychain. All right. All right, we'll come back to who dat
Later.
later. Now, I believe, if I'm not correct, please correct me, Bill. A family history presentation.
I believe we will start the family history presentation, and I believe that is going to be up to Melissa.
Melissa Davis.
Okay, come on with it.
All right. This is just a little family thing that we came up with to kind of give you an overview of some of the family members from the past. During the preparation of this pictorial and anecdotal history of the Campbell line, we realized how wonderful it is to have stories of the people who have gone before. We have tried to give enough factual information, or factual based on the sources that we have, to satisfy the genealogist, Richard, but filled in with some of the personal stories that make these ancestors more accessible relatives, who we hope pass down some of their many admirable qualities to us. This journey through the past has also made us more aware of the importance of writing about our loved ones and recording the favorite stories and the accomplishments that make us proud. As the family grows and scatters, we do need to have these gatherings of the clan even more often so we can stay in touch. All right, starting with Scottish traditions. As you all know, the Campbells originated in Scotland, and that's probably the reason we all love bagpipe music, right? Yeah! You have to have a Scottish gene to really like the playing of the pipes. One old Scottish song is entitled, "The Campbells Are Coming," and here we are. The Campbell tartan is a plaid of navy blue and green, sometimes seen with a stripe of yellow and white. One of the traditional dishes eaten on special occasions is haggis, which consists of a mixture of the minced heart, lungs, and liver of a sheep or calf mixed with suet, onions, oatmeal, and seasonings, and boiled in the stomach of the animal. I think that's what Bill's planned for lunch today. Anybody else want to go to McDonald's? We will begin our family history with a look into the misty, somewhat hazy time before we became Americans. The first Campbell to appear on a public record in Scotland is Sir Archibald Campbell, who died about 1280. The tradition preserved at this time carried the family back 5 generations, but there are no public records in which their names occur. He was given a grant from the Crown in 1283. His son and heir was Sir Colin Campbell. That name is popular in our family. Interesting to note that the first 2 names of this family are names that are still used. In the 7th generation from Sir Archibald Campbell was Sir Duncan Campbell, who in 1445 was created the first Lord Campbell. In 1457, his grandson Colin Campbell was created the first Earl of Argyll. Then in the 8th generation from the original Archibald Campbell, we find Archibald Campbell the Duke of Argyll. So they were moving up in the world. In 1669, he offered to raise a regiment of 300 foot soldiers, which was accepted, and he received the command of this body. In 1692, the British established this regiment as the first Highland regiment in the standing army. This is our immigration to America. Our immigrant ancestor, Colin Campbell, came to America in 1781.
I left the shores of what old Scotland and sailed to the new land seeking adventure. I settled in Virginia and married Mary Gaskin, a lass from Northumberland County, whose father, Thomas Gaskin, was from England. I served as a surgeon with Braddock and the English forces against the French during the French and Indian War. My only surviving child was my son, Archibald Algernon Campbell, born in 1743, who also became a doctor.
All right, well done.
Thank you, Bill. Since Archibald I even messed it up. Archibald Algernon is a mouthful. We'll call him Dr. A.A. From Dr. A.A.'s second marriage to Elizabeth Harris, our ancestor, Dr. A.A. Campbell, was born in 1785. He married Sarah Epps in 1811 and had 7 children.
Dr. Archie and I fell in love after his wife, my sister, died.
A.A.'s son was the first Thomas Harris Campbell, who was born in 1823 in Nottoway County, Virginia, probably at Blendon, one of the Campbell family homes. He was quite an orator and was given a medal for this while a student at Randolph-Macon College. He earned a law degree from William and Mary, and at the age of 21, he was elected a member of the Virginia House of Delegates and later to the Senate for 2 terms each. He resigned during his second term in the Senate to take the presidency of the South Side Railroad in 1858. During the Civil War, he was appointed by the Confederate government to look after the confiscation of federal property within the bounds of the Confederacy. Thomas Harris was a very prominent lawyer and seems to have been regarded by all his kinfolk as the rock on which they founded their family faith. One of his near relatives, an aunt, in her will directed that he buy her estate in Nottoway, together with the slaves, with all the slaves, so that none of the slaves be sold and therefore separated. He did this and also bought all of his father's slaves, all between 1859 and 1865. The indebtedness which he thus incurred for the purchase of the land and slaves who were given their freedom following the Civil War, together with the loss of his own health, rendered him insolvent, and he died leaving nothing but his family and his debts. His wife of 17 years, Frances Pryor Campbell, and his 5 sons and 2 daughters survived him.
So the scoundrel left me with nothing. I was forced to sell everything and move to Hampton, Sydney, Virginia, where I bought and operated a boarding house for college students there, and was thus able to give each of our sons an education at Hampton, Sydney College. This was quite a different life than before Thomas died, but I was determined to give our sons a strong education.
Frances herself was from a very prominent family, the daughter of Reverend Theodoric Pryor and Frances Epps. She was descended from Richard Bennett, governor of Virginia in the 1650s. Also from William Randolph of Turkey Island, who, along with his wife Mary, is the William and Mary of William and Mary College. He was also a president of that college during the colonial era. Richard Bland, a member of the Continental Congress, and Thomas Jefferson is a different relative from on one side. But why they called him the wisest man south of the James River. Another impressive family member was Roger Atkinson Pryor, Frances's half-brother. And he's in a picture right on that board over there if you want to get a look later. And there's a book about his life called Adapt or Perish. He was a firebrand congressman, and in the year just prior to the Civil War, he was an ardent secessionist.
I did my best to get to Virginia to secede, but ended up going to South Carolina to inspire them to become the first state to secede the Union. General Beauregard, personal friend, offered me the honor of firing the first shot on Fort Sumter, but I declined in favor of my friend and fellow Virginian, Edmund Ruffin, who is said to have fired the gun which started the Civil War. I was appointed Brigadier General, but wrote to General Lee and said that the Confederate Army has too many generals as it is, while its real need is for more private soldiers. I resigned my rank and became a buck private. Captured by the Yankees in 1864 near Petersburg, but when Lincoln learned of my capture, me freed and returned to the Confederacy.
What a Southern voice. In fact, Roger Pryor was included in Ripley's Believe It or Not for resigning as a general to become a buck private. After the war between the states, with his fortune gone, Roger Pryor, with his wife and 7 children and $300 borrowed upon a watch and a diamond ring, moved to New York City in order to retrieve his fortune and began a distinguished career as a lawyer and later as a Supreme Court Justice for New York. Now, it was Roger Pryor's half-sister, Frances Pryor Campbell, who was the mother of our ancestor Thomas Harris Campbell Jr. This photo is in the center of that board. In his later years, Thomas Harris recalled one of the highlights of his childhood there. It was during the Civil War when General Robert E. Lee was camped near Petersburg and made his headquarters with young Tom's father at his home, the Oaks. Tom was then a lad of 5, and General Robert E. Lee put him on his famous horse Traveler and let him ride around the yard. Mississippi, here I come. Thomas Harris Campbell Jr., the oldest son, Graduated from Hampton-Sydney College and moved to Mississippi, first to Newton, where he taught school.
When I moved down to Mississippi, I was teaching school in Newton, where I met a beautiful young lady, Elizabeth Jane Thompson, or Jenny as I call her. Jenny was the daughter of Thomas Humphreys Thompson, a farmer, and Martha Gresham. I was just 19 years old and she was about 16 when her father found out that such a young boy was going to be teaching her. He wasn't going to let her go to school. He let her go anyhow. I like to tease her in later years and make her blush by telling her how when we were sitting on a rail fence the first time I kissed her and she fell over the fence backwards. We got married in 1879, 5 years after we met. While there in Newton, I studied law under George Woods in nearby Meridian, Mississippi, and then came to Yazoo City in about 1880, where I served as principal of the public schools. I then took the bar exam and started practicing law. I was elected to the state senate in 1912 and served until 1916, not seeking re-election, but concentrating on my law practice and serving as an elder in the Presbyterian Church and teaching Sunday school. I built a home on Jackson Avenue for my wife and 6 children. We had 3 boys and 3 girls.
Tom and Jenny were much loved and highly regarded by both the community and their family. Tender memories passed down by their children and grandchildren include the story told by Thomas Campbell about his grandfather tossing pennies from the front porch to the grandchildren clustered below. Anytime he saw his grandchildren, he would reach into his pocket and give them a quarter. To them, this was a generous gift since they could go to the picture show for a nickel or a dime. Margaret Tuttle remembered that Jenny had a machine for making beaten biscuits and how delicious they were. She also remembered a story told about when Jenny was dressed in all black clothes, including a veil, in mourning for her father. Her husband had not seen her dressed that way before, and when she walked past Tom into his law office, he nudged his friend, the judge, and said, "Man, that's a good-looking widow." The judge responded, why, Campbell, that's your wife."
I'm Fanny, daughter of Thomas Harris. I recall so much about daily life growing up in Yazoo City. I even remember how Mama would check behind my ears in the morning before I went to school because we burned coal every night for heat. My parents would often go out to see plays at a theater in town and leave us at home. While they were gone, we had a big time running all through the house playing what you all call hide and seek. We called it buggy whip. Because the fella doing the hunting, when he caught you, he'd whip you good. I hid as well as I could, especially when Colin was the hunter. He was especially fierce with that whip. Can't you just see us?
Oh, the stories that make up the life of a family. Will the memories we create live on? The children of Tom and Jenny learned many things from them and passed on to their own families the importance of education, civic responsibility, a strong Christian faith, and the value of a loving family. These children that they had were Patterson Fitzgerald, Thomas Humphreys, Francis, Fanny Margaret, Virginia Ruth, Ida, and Colin. Let me tell you a little bit real quick about each. Patterson Fitzgerald was born in 1880 and his wife was Louise Gibbs Kirk from Bentonia. Pat grew up in and entered the banking profession. In his mid-20s, because of a medical condition, he moved to the sunny, dry climate of Las Cruces, New Mexico, where he worked in a bank as a cashier of the fledgling First National Bank. Recovering his health rapidly, Pat began pursuing a dream of a bank of his own. He was a driving force in the establishment of the Farmers and Merchants Bank of Las Cruces. His 5 children are Pat, Louise, Jack, Elizabeth, and Tommy Kyle. None of that part of the family was able to make it this time. Thomas Humphreys, born in 1882, and his wife, Lizzie Winston Hall, from Hanover, Virginia. Tom graduated from Ole Miss with a degree in law and met his future wife through his sister Fanny. The girls had become friends at Mary Baldwin, a Presbyterian school in Virginia. He practiced law with his father, and they formed the firm Campbell and Campbell. He was mayor of Yazoo City and an elder in the Presbyterian Church. He had 4 sons: Thomas Humphreys Jr., George Hall, Archibald Bland, and Patterson Collin. Pictured on one of those boards, and on that board there. And they, let's see, pictured here during the visit home from the active service in World War II. Frances Margaret, the 3rd child, was born in 1884, and her husband was Harry Philip Walton. Fanny went to school at Mary Baldwin in Virginia in 1901, and as she recalls, she went there the day after President McKinley was assassinated. She had 5 sons: Pryor, Harry, Tommy Harris, Nat, and Thomas, who died very young. 4th child was Virginia Ruth, born in 1887. Though she was almost totally deaf by age 17, she read for the law with her father and successfully passed the law exam to become the first woman admitted to the state bar in Mississippi. She never married, but raised Margaret Fowler Tuttle, her sister Ida's child. Ida was born in 1809. She married Ray G. Fowler. They had 1 child, Margaret, but she died shortly after her birth. Mr. Fowler left Margaret, her grandmother and aunt, trusting them to raise a young girl better than he could. Colin was born in 1890. The youngest was only 3 when the family moved into the house on Jackson Avenue. He was a cotton broker and landowner. He never married and loved to tease his nephews about the presence of rawhead bones, who supposedly lived in the closet at the top of the stairs. He also kept a Shetland pony out in the country for his great nieces and nephews to ride. This brings us to the present day and the many descendants of Thomas Harris Campbell. We have looked back on our heritage, and as we look in the room, we see many of the physical traits of our parents and grandparents in the way we look today. Not as easy to see, but just as apparent are the values that have been passed down in this strong family. A devotion to our God, a high regard for education, a desire to do our civic duty, and a strong sense of family. Thank y'all.
That was just fantastic.
How do we get a copy of all this?
We'll make copies of that too.
That was great.
That was fantastic. It really was.
That's my mom, Mary Beth, and I and Liz worked on that. So.
It was a labor of love.
If any of y'all are interested in any of the genealogies, I'm a genealogist, and I've been doing it for 30-something years. I hadn't done it lately because I don't have the memory to handle it. But I've got 17,000 names in my genealogy, and it's labeled the Hatchet Campbell, which is Colleen Campbell, ancestry. So if you want to go on Ancestry.com and look for the Hatchet Campbell genealogy, I mean, all of this stuff will show up in that genealogy. And that doesn't mean somebody else hadn't done Campbell genealogies also, but I'm just telling you one name that you can look on. And 30 years doing this stuff. I've got 17,000 names in that genealogy.
We owe a debt of gratitude to Richard Hatchett.
We do.
I will tell you, he has done the bulk of all work with this family's genealogy, and we owe him a debt.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much.
All right, Bill, you feel like a little more who dat?
Yeah.
All right, let's do a little more who dat. All right.
Who that?
Okay, who dat? Who dat? Oh, that's an easy one. That's an easy one. Who's got it? Raise your hand. Now, if you've already won a prize, you can't win another one. Then the rules. What you got, Mac? Who is that? Huh? Who knows? Don't know. You gotta look it up in the book. Yes, you got it, absolutely. Daughter of Colin Campbell, another son of Bland. Give that lady a prize. All right. All right, let's see. Who dat? Let's get one more who dat up. Who that? Oh, do you know?
You.
No, it's not me. No, these are pictures of people that are not here. That'll help you. Got to look at the directory.
Yeah. Good ahead.
All right, now I'm gonna give you a little hint.
Over here. Take one on the night here. Embarrassing.
Got one?
Who is it?
Got it?
Page 19, that would be Scott Francis Campbell.
Yes,
Yes.
correct. Scott Francis Campbell.
He's from the Pat Campbell, Tommy Kyle's son.
Hey, Scott is the son of Tommy Kyle Campbell out west. Speakers are gone out.
Are you low?
Yeah.
Let's see what.
All right. Okay, we'll now move from who dat. We got time for Glencoe before the magician gets here too? T, where is T?
Yeah, right here.
T, all right. We got T. Campbell come up here to give us the Campbell perspective on Glencoe.
All right, let's do this. Never trust a Campbell. Generations of Scottish children have grown up with that phrase. There's a restaurant in the heart of Scotland that famously refuses service to any Campbell. Some of you who have actually been to Scotland have learned to say, oh yes, yes, good, glad to be here. My name is Colin Campbell. And our bad reputation is rooted in one incident in 1693, the massacre at Glencoe. The victims, the Clan MacDonald, sometimes considered to be the Campbells' sworn enemies. The massacre has become a symbol of treachery, almost a synonym for it, especially if your last name happens to be MacDonald. The subject has inspired famous poets like Sir Walter Scott, T.S. Eliot, and a 19th century poet named Thomas Campbell. On television, it inspired The Red Wedding, a shocking betrayal in the TV series Game of Thrones. And if you've seen that series, it's like 79% betrayal scenes, so for one to stand out is really remarkable. But how true is the legend? How guilty is Clan Campbell? When Daddy asked me to do this, I expected to feel like Lady Macbeth, staring at the blood on my ancestors' hands. Or perhaps I would be, or perhaps I could rescue the family reputation and prove that we were entirely innocent. But the truth of Scottish history is often more complicated than the mythology. There are a few uncomfortable facts about February 13th, 1693 that we do have to own up to. After staying on the MacDonald's land for 2 weeks, a group of 120 people attacked the MacDonalds in their beds, killing roughly 30. The attackers were not all Campbells, but they did include many Campbells, including their commander, Robert Campbell. But any story of murder requires motive, and this is where the myths about Glencoe start to get muddy. For instance, most of them seem to forget that Scotland had a king. And the king had some say in the events that were transpiring. Some versions of the legend will tell you that the Campbells and MacDonalds had been bitter enemies for centuries before Glencoe, just slaughtering each other left and right for hundreds of years, until at Glencoe the MacDonalds gave them a huge peace offering of food, drink, maybe some kind of treaty, commemorative t-shirts, I don't know. And in this version the Campbells ate the food, drank the drink, and then said, nah, and just slaughter them all. In another version of the legend, the Campbells and MacDonalds lived at peace for centuries until in 1693 the Campbells got together and said to each other, well, friendship is nice, but you know what's even nicer? Power. So after our next dinner with the MacDonalds, I think we should try this brand new invention called violence. Well, they'll never see it coming, and once we kill them all, we'll get to rule their land as well as our own. It's free real estate. The awkward and boring truth is that Scotland was never as wild and lawless as some of the legends like to claim. Clan chiefs could be fined committed by their clansmen, which was a pretty powerful incentive for those chiefs to keep the clans in line. The Campbells and MacDonalds observed many of the same Highland customs as well as newer feudal practices, gave them a common understanding. Inter-clan violence wasn't unheard of course, but it was rare and resolved quickly, often with an intermarriage. Those beautiful Scottish lassies, their fair faces and pleasing shapes could make Scottish men forget whatever it was that they were angry about in the first place. The main difference between the two clans is that the Campbells were willing to play ball with the king, and the MacDonalds, speaking, weren't. And bit by bit, worked more and more to our advantage as the king consolidated power in Scotland. The Campbells had no history of direct conflict with the MacDonalds, but the crown did. By the late 1600s, Scotland's king was the same as England's king, King William. The idea of a united kingdom, including Scotland, Ireland, and England, was looking more and more likely, and it would in fact come to pass about 15 years after these events. And Scotland, in general, was looking pretty settled, except for one area. If the late 1800s America had the Wild Wild West, the late 1600s Scotland had Lochaber. Lochaber was not a place you set out for so much as a place where you ended up. It was a place for anyone who resisted the king's authority. Some of the people who resisted the king's authority had very legitimate reasons to do so. But it was also a place for religious dissenters, cattle raiders, outright thieves, anyone who had been banished from their own clan. And in the middle of all this were four splinter clans, including the MacDonalds of Glencoe. This should be distinguished from the MacDonalds as a general super clan running all through Scotland. King William demanded these four splinter clans chiefs present him with an oath of loyalty. And three of them complied pretty quickly. The MacDonalds of Glencoe complied kind of eventually, but they really dragged their feet about it. And the king decided that even though he was getting surface compliance from these people, he still considered them a threat to his rule. The Campbells had no say in that decision. There were not Campbell advisors in the king's court. We would, unfortunately, be involved in its execution, but that was not an action that we took as a clan. It's just that after centuries of playing ball with the crown, a lot of people named Campbell, who didn't have immediate clan loyalties themselves, ended up as government troops. Some versions of the legend claimed that the MacDonalds had welcomed the Campbells to their land in the spirit of peace, love, and friendship. But they say fishing visitors stink after 3 days. We're talking about 120 visitors who had been put up for 2 weeks. That's an awful lot of good-heartedness from the MacDonalds if we're to take this legend at face value. And if we look a little closer, we discover that it wasn't in the spirit of peace, love, and friendship so much as the spirit of not having to pay taxes. See, Scotland had a rule at the time that a clan could avoid paying taxes by instead providing housing for the king's men, for his troops, and this sort of thing eventually became an inspiration for America's Third Amendment, which is why we have that rule about not forcing people to board soldiers in their homes. The MacDonalds had taken advantage of this system before, and so had the Campbells. There was nothing particularly remarkable about it, nothing that would have raised the MacDonalds' suspicions. And Robert Campbell was surprised as anyone when King William ordered the Glencoe MacDonalds killed. However, Robert Campbell was not in a great position to refuse. He was not a landholder. He was in fact
flat broke, and and his government service was the only thing keeping him and his family from complete destitution. Also, just to put a little icing on the cake, this order was seasoned with a threat. Here's the directive. See that this be put in execution without feud or favor, else you may be expected to be dealt with as one not true to king nor government, nor a man fit to carry commission in the king's service. In other words, the penalty for treason is death. So kill these traitors, or you will be a traitor, and I think you can figure out the rest of the logic yourself. Now, Robert is not a hero in this story. Nobody who could say, I was only following to be a hero. He did what the king said and wrote down that morning, including the clan chief. But there's one more wrinkle in this story that we ignore. The order was received on the evening of February 12th and carried out the next morning before dawn. It was supposed to be done in the utmost secrecy. Yet those 30 people were only a fraction of the 300 or so that the king actually wanted dead. Most of the troops involved, including the Campbells, either refused the order outright or else took so long to execute it that, oh darn, all those McDonald's just ended up getting away. Oh well, nothing to be done. I guess we're just not very good at backstabbing. Attacking people who had hosted you was not the Highland way. And when the McDonald's fled this violence, many of them who escaped were then hidden away and hosted on Campbell lands. For 150 years, history understood that this blood was on King William's hands far more so than it was on any soldiers, Campbell or otherwise. The military doesn't recruit a lot of free thinkers. It's not easy for soldiers to defy an order, even one that seems clearly wrong. Being the villains of the story would be a more colorful role for us than just being partly defiant and partly helpless. At least it would make our role clear, but the truth's often more complicated, and that's especially true of Scottish history. On that day, some Campbells were heroic, and others were in service to villainy. Some of us were slaughterers in service to the king, but more of us were saviors in defiance of him. If there's any lesson to that, it's that we have choices to make, and our name is not all of who we are. Those choices we make will decide whether we're going to add glory to the Campbell name in the years to come or not. What kind of Campbell do we, each of us, want to be? As for the McDonald's, judging from all the red and gold signs I saw on the highway on the way down here, I think they're doing all right.
D2 99 74 97 78.
I'm gonna make his money disappear. Watch. When I count to 3, I want you to release that middle finger that's holding the open up. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. So your money, well now,
This is not going as well as I thought it would go.
break it in half, Thomas.
Hey!
What do you see in there?
There's a dollar bill.
There's a dollar bill?
There's a dollar bill.
But here's the thing, this doesn't matter unless the serial number matches. In a loud, clear voice, read out what it is. Everybody listen and look. Go for it.
D299749778.
Come on.
Oh, about 4 weeks ago, I was asked by the people in the Baptist church to come and talk to them. In a little town, everybody knows everybody else. And they asked me if I would come and talk to them about the programs that our grandson had received while he's been in the hospital for nearly 4 months. And as I got up in front of the Baptist folks, I the biggest auditorium I ever went in my life. And as I told them, I am no speaker, but I am a talker. And when the minister got up later, he said the word was going to get out all over town that two women preachers had spoken at the Baptist church, and one of them was Presbyterian.
I'm Thomas Harris Walton, son of Fanny Campbell Walton. My mother named me after her father, Thomas Harris Campbell, and I'm one of 3 remaining grandchildren, the other 2 being Colin Campbell and Margaret Tuttle. It's an honor and a pleasure for me to make announcements for the what is this? for the 2002 Campbell Family Reunion. For the oldest attendee, the award winner is Colin Campbell.
It's a real pleasure to be with you all today. I had a lot of problems getting here. Caroline was not doing too well, and fortunately Mary said she would come stay with Caroline so I could come. So that helped me get over here. As you all know, Thomas and I were real close friends. Being brothers, we did a lot of things together. Harold Walton was real close to us. Brian Walton and I were the same age. We grew up together. Brian and I hunted quite a bit. I told him last night about our neighbor, the Bud Walton. We stole his bud from so much he started living with us. But saying we'd like to have you come see us. Now, I see Colleen and Melissa quite a bit. I can't get Lewis to come see me. She always runs by Montgomery. But if any of y'all in Montgomery, come see us. Like Mike says, we're good for a few meals. We'll put you up. We'll take care of you. So come see us sometime. Thank you.
Grandpa Campbell, my father, was mayor of Yazoo City, I think, from about 1912 to 1918. During that same period of time, while he was mayor, Mr. Budsell, who ran the Herald, commented about Papa, made some snide remarks about Papa and the way Papa was carrying on business up at the mayor's office or something like that, or maybe attacked his honesty and integrity on it, I don't know. Anyhow, Papa sent him word that if he did that again, that he might as well know that he was going to get killed, that Papa was going to kill him. And that Papa said that fact of business, what he was going to do was, and what he told Budsell was going to do was that the next time the newspaper comes out with anything in it, me, and I see it, I'm going to come over there and kill you. What happened was that Grandpa got downstairs in the front office and sat there that afternoon waiting for the Herald to come out. And Papa had the pistol and Grandpa was with him, and I can't understand. I know how Grandpa must have felt about it and how Papa must have felt about it, but they were both men of honor, and they felt that their honor had been smirched and that something had to be done about it, even if both of them died or got killed or something. And so they sat there and waited until the Herald came out, and the Herald came out of the front paper, and Budsell went out the back. He didn't come out the front where they could see it, but there wasn't anything in the Herald at all.
To have a new comics feature out now on an app called Webtoon, and we're You know, we're working away on a bunch of stuff, and now I have a like-minded wife who I occasionally turn to as a script editor. Janice and I have been married since 2016. We have 4 cats. We have and a lizard. And you want to take the wheel for a minute, Mike?
All right, what do you want me to talk about?
Just our lives. Anything I've got.
Well, it pretty much covers the basics. We're living in Manassas, as Graham mentioned.
We don't know what you do for a living.
Oh yeah, I work in finance. I've been crunching numbers since 2001, so a long time. Different places. Currently engineering firm. If you're ever up in Northern Virginia and you're driving 166, see all the people blocking off the lanes and fixing stuff, that's us.
So I'm calling Mark and gave a good report on Mark and Catherine, my 2 girls, but I got 2 sons. Rich, who is our oldest, and he is living in London and working a crazy job he took the job 3 years in advance of the coronavirus breaking out, and the coronavirus is what his work was all about. He works with a company, organization called SETI that is trying to fund the research to develop vaccines before the epidemics occur. And it's been an amazing process, but it's just, he started that, and then all of a sudden the coronavirus hit, and it was right down his alley. My other son, Thomas, is here. Y'all have met him. He is a delight for us. He lives in Daphne, and Larkin lives in Daphne, and so we're happy to have our 2 kids there. Thomas does a myriad of things. He's got a lot of talents.
Avoid my story.
What?
So I was trying to avoid my story.
He's got multiple talents, and some of it is guitar playing and writing music and loving music and comics and everything. I love quiet. I love to go sit in the sun and feel the breeze across my face. I love the mountains of North Carolina, so that's why I'm here. Richard is my husband, and the other members of the family have a myriad of talents and interests in all sorts of things. So, I just live among people who are very interesting, and I like to kind of take the background. So that's pretty much us. We're a happy bunch, I guess. That's the luckiest thing in the world. So anybody else?
Hi, I'm Campbell Walton. I'm the older brother of Bob and Martha. And my wife of 50 years is here, Van, the creative person. I have 2 sons. One lives in Charlotte, is married, has 2 children, 1 3 and 1 2. And then I have another son who lives out in Seattle. And both of them are in the biking business as it stands right now. So I spent my entire career in manufacturing management, worked in 6 different states as well as Mexico, and Van spent her career in education, teaching in various places. So we've enjoyed our stay here in North Carolina. We've been here for about 20 years, the longest we've been in any place, as a matter of fact. And we're now enjoying retirement on the lake down in Lake Hickory. So anytime you want to take a little lake trip versus a mountain trip, come see us. We've got plenty of room, and you'll have lots of fun, I guarantee it. Good to see all of you.
Thank you.
I'm Mary McLemore Connett, and Bryce is my brother, and Mary Campbell McLemore is my mom. This is my husband, Richard Connett, and it's a little bit about him. He's from Columbus, Georgia. We got married in 2014. And he is a Porsche car specialist, and if you ever need an awesome car, he can design it back and forth. That's where his artwork is. It's not on the wall over here, but he's excellent with Porsches and Audis. And then for myself, I'm a personal trainer, and most of my clients, I got a couple in every age group, but I'm mostly 60 up to 90. Mine is focused on better quality of life and aging well. And so anyway, I'm mostly virtual now since 2020. I'm a little bit in the gym, but mostly my clients like working out from the lake house and beach house. And like I said, everything we do is just about aging well and having better quality and trying to work towards that. And then I also do art. I've brought a few things. Mine are mostly the abstracts. And then I've got two awesome teenage boys. One's 19. He just finished his freshman year at Auburn. And my other son, his name is Campbell, call him Camp. My other son is Eli. He is 17, starting his junior year in high school. Both of them are great athletes. I'll brag on them just a little bit. Camp has gotten into ultra athlete events. So in college, instead of doing a fraternity, he just started running. And he just finished a 50K ultra marathon in Winter, Georgia last month. So it's about 31 miles. And he finished it in 5 hours and 34 minutes and came in 5th place. So I think this is where he's heading right now. So he loves this extreme stuff and pushing himself, mind over matter. My other son, Eli, is very opposite. He's super fast and loves sprint work. So he's does 200 to 400 meter relay team is what he's on at school. They're really good. In their 10th grade year, they broke 2 school records that had not been broken for several decades. So anyway, we have 2 more years of competing, and we think that they've got possibilities to get medals at the state event this year. So anyway, he's pushing himself to hopefully get, possibly a college scholarship for running. And then as far as like funny story, I was kind of inspired by your 4 cat story because I accidentally have 4 cats now. And it all starts because of my mother. And I didn't grow up with cats, I grew up with dogs. And so the story in our family has been never let mom give you a free gift like a pet. So she called me one day from Home Depot. It's like, oh honey, this is Cat. It's living in the garden center, and I'm checking out, and the cashier is crying. She's so upset. This cat has been living in the gardening center, and the manager said he has to go to the shelter today, and they're going to put it down. And she's like, you don't have a pet. You don't have any pets. And my boys were 3 years old and 5 years old at the time, and I was like, Mom, no. As a young mom, you're like, oh my God, I can't handle anything else. I've got 2 kids. And Mom's like, no, let me just bring the cat by for an hour. Just an hour. And she shows up. This cat's not coming for an hour. She brought a litter box and she brought food. So the cat stayed. And while she was there, she made sure the cat had a name. But she got the kids to name it, So I don't know anything about cats. I'm like, okay, this cat's doing fine. The kids like it. 3 weeks later, I wake up one morning and the cat is huge. It's so big. I'm like, what in the world? I called the vet, take the cat into the vet. He's like, in a very southern voice, and our cousin Charles, he's like, oh yeah, this cat is pregnant. It is going to have kittens any day now. So we have a litter of 7 all black cats. Oh yeah. So anyway, so we had Mama Cat, and the Mama's cat's name was Shadow. And mind you, my kids were 3 and 5. So when I got this, we decided, all right, we're gonna keep one and we're gonna give all the other ones away. So when I got to name the one we kept, I said, all right, we're gonna name this one. They said Shadow. So then we had 2 cats named Shadow. We gave them all away. We got down to the last one, could not get it a home. So I thought it was fitting to give it to my mother. So I named it Elvis and gave it to her. Anyway, we got to the cat business, and and then I married a guy who apparently attracts cats. And anyway, one of them ended up in his car engine last year. He was driving down the road about 2 or 3 miles, and it's through the radio. He started meowing at him.
Oh my God!
He thought he had gone crazy. He'd been working so many excess hours at work. Pulled out a 5-week-old kitten out of the car. And at this point, we had 2 cats. Yeah, we had 2 cats. Everyone had been asking for a 3rd cat. I was like, we do not need a 3rd cat. That's another litter box. I'm not doing it. So we ended up with a 5-week-old kitten, and my 2 boys and Richard are all grinning. They're like, we have to keep it, because they're going to put it down in the shelter. So we kept the cat. so then when one of our older cats had died, so we're down to 2. And then now there's these 2 outdoor cats. And Richard kept feeding them, and every night they come to the carport, hang out with Richard in the carport. Now I've got 4 cats. So, but anyway, I'm glad we could make it, and I'm so thankful to everybody who helped put this together.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Bob Walton. With Martha, my sister, and Campbell, my brother, we grew up in Crossett, Arkansas, as our parents, Tommy Harris, or Thomas, as a lot of people knew him, and Mary Noel. Catherine, our oldest sibling, I guess died about 6 years ago. We miss her greatly. But I live in Batesville, Arkansas. Have 4 children, 3 daughters in Arkansas, and my son is in Atlanta. I'm in the process of going through retirement. I've had a private practice in internal medicine for 35 years, and I've decided to get out of it. So I do hospitalist work, which is shift work, and it's not a bad way to go. I'm trying to learn to travel more. I don't like traveling alone, so if anybody wants to go on a trip sometime or include me, let me know. I'm reminded so much of Arkansas in this area. If you haven't been to Northwest Arkansas, you ought to try. It's a great spot to visit and enjoy. Don't forget about the Razorbacks. I guess teach you all to call the hogs.
Yes.
It's not real hard to do.
Yeah.
Got a big baseball game.
Yeah.
At, I think 1 o'clock this afternoon. Okay, all right. It's easy. It's woo. You do and then it's pigs and then suey. You do that 3 times. And then it's Razorbacks, okay? All right. So we all stand up. We all stand up, and as we start, you just put your hands up and you just shake them, okay? So here we go. Woo! Hey! Say! Hey! Say! One more time. One more.
That was hard for a moment.
Yeah, for you rebels and Bulldogs, Auburn, all that. Here we go.
And I'm Liz Evans, Mary Beth's daughter, and she's right. We've spent the past 2 years and a couple months together in Pascagoula, but I'm from Decatur, Georgia. I still have a house there that I'm going to be selling soon. But Mom and I, just a little bit about me, I enjoy bird watching, pottery, and art. And Al, you were saying earlier the secret to a successful retirement is having some passions. Well, I absolutely do, and I, like you, kind of cultivated a new passion right after retirement, and that was pottery, throwing on the wheel. And I've just loved getting my hands in the mud and making things. So, so far, retirement's going beautifully for me.
And I'm Melissa Davis, one of Mary Beth's. My husband is Julian Davis on the back row back there. Good guy. He is a hospice chaplain. And I am not working now. I haven't worked for quite a while, mainly due to some sciatic and knee problems, but have a past in working with nonprofits. I was director of a nonprofit agency for many years that helped low-income and elderly people get medications that they needed. So, and really enjoyed that, but have not worked in quite a while. Let's see, got lots of hobbies as well, but since we're limited on time, I'm just going to pass the mic.
I'm Graham Campbell. I'm Bill's son. One of 2. He's back there. Both he and I are living up in Northern Virginia now. He lives in Manassas, known for the battlefield, which he can tell me about. But I live out in Loudoun County, which was a big, well, if you want to connect Civil War, big John Mosby area. With a lot of skirmishes and cavalry battles and fought around there. But it's a beautiful little area of the country there with Arcady. And we've gotten into historic preservation out there. We live in an older house. I guess it's an early 19th century house. We don't know.
Circa 200 years old.
We don't know exactly how old it is, but it's kind of a modest. I mean, it's not modest, but it's not a big historic grand home, right? So we don't know the exact provenance of it. But what else are we into? We're doing.
We have a 12-year-old dog who still acts like a puppy, and a 16-year-old cat who thinks he's human. What else? Our current preservation project is to help save and restore a historic tavern that dates back to late 18th, early 19th century in our village. That's been taking up a fair amount of my time, and Graham's been very helpful too. But we you couldn't be angry if you tried.
That's true.
But yeah, we live out in the country. We really love it. We love to drive around and see the scenery. We love to get involved in the history of the area. And if you ever find yourselves up near DC, come and see us. We'll take you brewery hopping or winery hopping if that's more your style.
Peter's mom is Colleen Campbell Hatchett, and my dad's Richard Hatchett in the green jacket. We have 4 kids, Jim and I. Jim's over there, that's my husband in the brown jacket. And these are our 4 kids. My youngest is Lilibet. She's Colleen Elizabeth, but we call her Lilibet. My 2 sons are John Larkin and Mac. And my oldest is Francis Price in the orange jacket. We live in Daphne, Alabama, which is down on the coast near Mobile. And I'm trying to think, I don't know that I have anything interesting necessarily to report.
Oh, yeah.
What? Oh, I'm an artist and a lawyer. I went to law school and practiced law for a long time, and actually took a leave of absence right before COVID because this little one kept getting pneumonia. And so I took a leave of absence, and then about a month later everything shut down because of COVID. And so I remained out when the kids got sent home, and we homeschooled them the next year. And they've gone back to school now, but I've just decided to pursue my art full time. So that's what I'm doing. Oh, and I did. I won a $30,000 grant recently for my art.
Whoa!
Mom, do you want me to give quick kind of updates on Rich and Catherine, or do you want to do that? So, 2 of my siblings were not able to come. Thomas, my little brother, where is he? He's in the way back. That's the youngest in our family. And then I have an older sister, Catherine. She was Catherine Campbell Hatchett, and now she's Catherine Reinhardt. And we do have some of her art here too, that someone else brought. Her son is Campbell Oaks Reinhardt, and he just turned 16 the other day. They live in Pocatello, Idaho. She's a teacher, and her husband's a professor at the university there. And trying to think, they enjoy all sorts of outdoors things. They're amazing. We went out and visited them, and they took us camping in Yellowstone, and they do the big rafting trips down the rivers for 10 days at a time, and they ski and they hike, and they're both very much environmentalist and naturalist and all of that. Anyway, Rich, my big brother, he was Richard Jones Hatchett IV, and he lives in London with his family. They have 3 children. His wife is Susan, and Susan is actually from, is Ashland in Hanover County? Yes, so Rich and Susan were married at one of the old family places in Hanover County called Dundee. But anyway, so she just happens to be from up there. But they live in London now, and Rich, I don't know, he was an infectious disease specialist. I guess they call him an epidemiologist now, but he was very involved in, he works for Center Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness, something. Anyway, innovation. But he's had a very big role in COVID because they were a funding source, an international funding source to help develop the vaccines. And his wife is a lawyer. She was Susan, what's her middle name? Bland Watson. So Scottish too. But, and they have 3 children. Jane Larkin just graduated from high school at an international school in London. And then Thomas Duncan and, what's Kate's full name? Catherine Catherine Ritchie, but they call her Kate. Anyway, so that's the update on them, and we don't get to see either of them as much as we'd like to because they're so far. But so that's our family's kind of update.
And I'm Martha Walton Thanish, as you said, the sister of Bob and Campbell, and I live in Little Rock, and I'm a nurse. And I'm also thinking about retirement. I hadn't quite let go yet. I've been in oncology my entire career. My husband's a pharmacist. He has retired. So we have 2 children. Adam, who's 30, he's a nurse, and he's an intensive care nurse at the University Hospital in Little Rock. And he works the night shift, and he just bought a house. And my daughter is 27, and her name is Maggie, and she is in Virginia completing her pharmacy residency in critical care medicine, and she's decided to stay at Inova Fairfax. So that's where she'll be. So I figured out the direct flight from Little Rock. There is a flight directly to Reagan International, so I've done it twice already because I didn't think she was going to stay there this year. So I've been up there twice, actually 3 times. And let's see, what else? I like to shop, and I like bargains. I'm not artistic. I'm a big Razorback fan, so we will be trying to watch the game at some point on our phones, I'm sure. So that's all I have. I guess I'll pass it to Al.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Al Walton. I was the oldest of all the Nat Walton crew. I was the firstborn. I have a brother, Davis, who a lot of y'all met probably at the last reunion, who's 3 years younger than me. And then our sister, Ruthie, was 2 years younger than Davis, and she couldn't make it this year. And then we did have a younger brother, much younger brother, Joey, who actually died in his sleep from a heart attack when he was 23 years old.
Right.
Yeah, it was real tragic. So there were 4 of us growing up. I was born in Yazoo City, and when I was 10 years old, we moved to Pascagoula, Mississippi, which is where I really grew up. And people say, well, you're from Mississippi. I said, well, sort of maybe. Because Pascagoula is sort of quasi-Mississippi, but not really, and quasi-Florida, but not really. So it's kind of a melting pot between the Mississippi and the Deep South and Florida, which I don't know what Florida is, but it's an interesting place. But I'm fortunate enough that I am retired now and enjoying every bit of my retirement. My primary career was in medical sales, healthcare sales to hospitals and EMS. Had a wonderful career. I learned a lot of good beneficial information for me personally. And being in that industry, the healthcare, I developed a real interest in health and fitness, which I've kept throughout my adult life. My wife is Joanne, back in the white jeans and the blue sweater. We have been married, it will be 50 years this December.
All right.
So we will be celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary in December. We have 2 children, 2 daughters. Our older daughter, Erin, lives in Nashville. She is actually a personal trainer, and her husband Josh is a landscape architect. They don't have any children, so we have 2 granddogs in Nashville. And then our younger daughter lives in Austin, Texas. She has 2 daughters, so our human grandchildren are out in Austin, and we try to stay in touch with them and visit Austin and Nashville as often as we can. But we're really excited to be here. We did not make the last reunion, and we hated to miss it, but we made the one before that, which was in Yazoo City, and I remember being at the courthouse and all the fun we had there. So I'm glad so many people were able to be here at this reunion so we could renew friendships and meet new people who we hadn't met before because they weren't even born yet. And it's really a treat. But anyway, I do have a little presentation on, brief presentation on a few things to give us some stretching and things about yoga. But I will say this, whenever you are fortunate enough to retire, if you haven't retired yet, the key to successful retirement is to have something you're passionate about. Something that still makes you want to get up in the morning and get out of bed and go do something that you really love. And I developed 2 interests before I retired. The first interest was in yoga. I became acquainted with yoga through Joanne about 15 years ago. I didn't realize what a good physical exercise practice it was. I went to my first yoga class, and by the time the class was over, I thought I was going to die. It was the most strenuous, full body, total body exercise I'd ever done. So I started practicing yoga. I did that for about 7 years, and I said, you know, this has been so beneficial for me that I really need to be able to teach other people and share this with my friends. So I went and took teacher training, and I've been teaching yoga for the last 8 years. I also developed a love for duplicate bridge. In duplicate bridge, I know probably not many people in here play bridge. I know Mary Beth does. But it's a tremendous game, and duplicate bridge takes it to the next level. And it's very competitive. It's very mind challenging. And so those are my 2 passions in life, plus my children and my grandchildren.
Plus, bridge gives you a lot of class.
That's right. Tommy Harris Walton, Campbell and Bob and Martha's dad, he used to say, you know, tell them, if you don't play bridge, you have no class. So,
3 of his children don't have any class.
And 3 of his children have no class.
I'm Mary Campbell McLemore. My dad was Colin Campbell. He lived in Mississippi, and he had to come all the way to Montgomery to find a wife. My mother was a pretty young thing, just out of college, and my dad married her. He says, you know, when you get old enough, you get real lonesome and you just have to get married. So you can tell he wasn't a romantic. I had wonderful memories of Yazoo City as a child because I would come over there and we would spend a week every summer. And the things I remember most about Yazoo City were going fishing with Grandma. I know a lot of you have done a lot of that. But she was quite a fisherman. And you know, she was a Girl Scout leader, although she had 4 boys. And all the girls liked it because the boys would help out. But it was fun going fishing. And then going in her flower garden was another fun thing. You all remember how beautiful her flowers were. And that has been an inspiration to me all my life with those flowers. I just have memories of that. And so I love to garden, and I know a lot of you like to garden because of that too. I guess that my achievement in gardening has been most recently when I went by a rummage sale and I asked the man if he would sell me a piece piece of his cactus. He said, oh no, he says, I won't sell you any, but I will give you a piece. And so he gave me a piece of cactus. And it just was a pad. I stuck it in the ground, and the cactus is at least 8 feet tall now. For Montgomery, that's a big cactus. The cactus has pears. You have cactus pears on it. I have the beautiful roses that come on it every spring, the yellow rose. And I have enjoyed that cactus so much, and I've had a wonderful time talking about it. that has probably been one of the most fun things I think I've done with gardening, although I love all of my other flowers. And one morning, the woman that helps me in the house came over, and I met her at the front door. I said, oh dear, I said, the cactus is turned over. And it was probably about 6 feet when this happened. And she couldn't understand what in the world a cactus turned over meant. Well, it meant the cactus had literally turned over. And so we went outside, and I got one of these belts that you use to help people that are incapacitated to walk. And I got a wooden stake. And I put the wooden stake in the ground. And so I got on the ground, and she got behind it where the wooden stake was with the belt. And I got my feet, and I pushed the cactus up to the stake. And she belted the cactus in. And so we have that. That's probably the most interesting story I have about my garden. Although it's just a lot of fun. I found out water sprinklers don't work. A hose is much better. But it's always fun to come to the Campbell reunion and to see what's going on. And my 2 children are Mary Elaine McLemore Conniff and Price McLemore, who's up here, Jr. And he has his third. My husband was Junior. And so he's passed on a couple of years ago, and so he would be here and love being here. He always enjoyed the Campbells. So I'll pass this on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stan. I'm the son of Mary Beth. My wife is Laurie Evans, and I've got 3 of my children here: Sarah, Andrew, and Austin. 3 of all my children. And, we currently live in Signal Mountain, Tennessee, which is just north of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it's up on a little ridge, and it's kind of like this, where it's a little cooler than the average place, and about my kids. Sarah has her master's in social work and currently works in Chattanooga. Andrew, my middle son, just graduated from law school at Vermont Law School, and we went up for his graduation 3 weeks ago. And beautiful state. Vermont's very beautiful if you've never been there. You'll have to ask him about his path to becoming a lawyer. There are a lot of lawyers in this family, in case you haven't noticed. Austin, my youngest.
And this is my husband, Doug. He's retired from the military. We were a Navy family for 23 years. I have 2 children. I have Lizzie, who is here, and I have Jared, who lives in Pascagoula with his wife. He just moved down to Pascagoula because he thinks that's his true home. We moved around quite a bit. We've lived a little bit of everywhere. Got to experience a lot of wonderful things. I was, pardon?
Lived in Hawaii.
Well, yeah, we lived in Hawaii for a little while, lived in the Northwest, and so we've gone from the Northwest to Texas, which is a whole nother world, and to Hawaii, and then to Virginia Beach. And that's where we've been for since, before his retirement. The kids were in school and decided it wasn't right to move them again from their friends to another area, so we decided to put down roots in Virginia. And Lizzie is in transition. She was in college before COVID hit, and then they closed down the school and put classes online, but didn't offer her any of the classes that she needed to continue. So she had stopped with her associate's degree and is planning on going back. Jared works down for a seafood place, the most popular seafood place in Pascagoula. And just is loving life. He loves to fish, he loves to hunt, very much like his daddy. Doug works for a
Valkyrie Enterprises.
It's
a Navy contracting job.
He's a Navy contractor. He writes and develops curriculum for the military now. So he got out and now he's writing programs to teach new sailors coming in. And he writes a hard test. That's all I have to say. But since retiring, he's been able to take up a lot of his hobbies, hunting and fishing, and we're so lucky that we live where we are because he's got hunting that's available just out in the country with some friends, and fishing, of course, all the time, freshwater and saltwater, and he's not at home. You know where Doug is, he's fishing. Well, it depends on what the season is. Yeah, fishing or hunting. I'm a widow either way. I've determined he doesn't like me very much because he was deployed all the time in the Navy. And now he's taken up two hobbies that take him away from home also. Oh, yeah, that's right. But I have been, started out with nursing after the kids were born and we were moving quite frequently. I stopped working and was a stay-at-home mom and ended up homeschooling the kids in Hawaii. Came back and decided that being a homemaker really suited me. That, you know, I was meant to live in the lavish life and not work for a living like any old drone. And so I have taken up every hobby that I ever see. We have gone, and some of my sculptures over here, this was a garage clearing project. I had to start getting rid of all the junk that I had collected over the years, and so I decided to make sculptures. I started out making spoon jewelry, from the 70s, the old spoon rings and bracelets and keychains and all kinds of jewelry that Mary Beth and her husband Stanley did for a while and got me started with. So I love to go around and find old silver and junk pieces that I can create projects with. And that's kind of it for me. I'm just...
We literally live 20 minutes from Bill and Meg. Down in Virginia.
Yeah, right.
And we saw them more when we were growing up.
I think we saw the last time at the last reunion.
We've decided the closer you live to your relatives, the less you see of them.
Right. Okay.
Bryce McLemore, Mary Campbell. McLemore's my mother. Colleen Campbell is how I'm related to everybody. I'm married to Dinah McLemore. She is from Hazard, Kentucky. Yeah, everybody goes, like the Dukes of Hazzard? And yes, I am a Duke of Hazzard. The mayor made me a Duke of Hazzard. So we've been married for 21 years. We've got 3 kids. I've got my oldest is Mary Evelyn, and she's about to start college at Mississippi State this fall in archaeology. She wants to go dig Roman and Greek ruins and dig in Israel. And I was like, I can't even get you to pull weeds outside. I'm not real clear how you're going to do it. My oldest boy is Price the Fourth. And Price could not be with us because he is adventuring in Alaska. Dinah's got a first cousin that lives in Eagle, Alaska, which is about halfway up the Canadian-U.S. border in Alaska. And he's gonna build an outhouse this summer. So that's, and he's gonna go bear hunting, caribou hunting, do a little salmon fishing, and then whatever he's told to do. Let's see, and then my youngest is Steven, and he's here running around. He's made fast friends with all Larkin and Jim's kids. And he's kind of our resident artist. You see some of his art he's a big oils guy, and really enjoys that. Thomas, you may find this interesting. For the last 3 years, he has claimed he wants to be a plumber. So, yeah. Yeah. I thought maybe you'd have a few wise words to point out to him. So Price is going into his 10th grade year. He enjoys cross country. He's a very good student. So is Mary Evelyn. And Stephen is an excellent student. He enjoys football. He plays Little League football and is an artist. And he's going into 6th grade. Dinah has an interesting career path. She came to Auburn from Kentucky as a forestry engineer, which is basically a mechanical engineer that designs machines that cut down trees. And then she got a master's in civil engineering, and then she decided to be a stay-at-home mother. And then she decided to become a school teacher, so she taught STEM stuff, science, technology, engineering, math. K through 5, and then she's recently accepted a position to teach introduction to engineering, environmental science, AP environmental science, and anatomy to high school students. So quite a shift in what she's doing. I have been in furniture sales for the past 21 years, and so I represent manufacturers or importers that bring in goods to the United States, and I sell to the stores. So some of our, I'm trying to think, if you're from Daphne area, y'all heard of Lanyap Furniture or the old J&J, some of my clients down there. And so Dinah and I woke up about, beginning of 2020 and decided that we were getting old and fat and we need to do something about it. And so she has run 2 marathons since then. And I've taken up cycling because I can't run. And I've participated in 2 100-mile cycling races as well. So we kind of do that. Funny story. Let's see. We were at church. At that time, we just had Mary Evelyn and Price. And the sermon was, what would you do if you had no fear? What would you do with your life if you do not fear a thing? And so that was a real great message. And they tied it into the readings of the day. And we got in the car. And, keep in mind, about 2 weeks earlier, I said, hey, the kids don't need you at home anymore. You need to go get a job, right? I had said that about 2 weeks ago. And then we walked out of church. She goes, I think we need to have another child. I said, I didn't get that in the sermon. I don't recall hearing about be fruitful and multiply. That was not the message today. And then we had another child, and she stayed home a little longer. And then Stephen got old enough, where we didn't need her at home full time. And I said, hey, last time I asked you to go get a job. So I'm not bringing that up. I'm happy with you staying at home. So then she went and got a job. So we are so glad to come up here. I wish Dinah had been able to come. I've learned with Dinah, I don't tell her exactly what I'm thinking. I kind of hint around at it. And I've hinted around, but this is a much better family reunion than the one they had last weekend.
Just him.
Yeah, well, I'm kidding all y'all, man. That's why I like it better. So. Okay, I think we're going to go to the Highland Games.
That's right.
So we're going to turn this over to the expert, former Olympian. There we go.
Thank you. Okay. So I hope you've had a chance to look at the board over here. It does explain the games. There are teams. Everybody should have a team bracelet on. Does everybody have a bracelet? Color bracelet? Does anybody not have one? Perfect. So if you read the games, you can see there's something for everyone. So even if you don't think you can compete in the Highland Games, you can. So what are the Highland Games? Competitions have been taking place for hundreds of years. In the 11th century, King Malcolm III of Scotland summoned contestants to a race, and some people think this is the origin of today's modern games. The games happen all over Scotland and in some other countries where Scots have immigrated, in outdoor spaces between May and September. Traditional Highland games such as caber toss, tug of war, and the hammer throw, along with music, food, and Highland dancing, create a family-friendly day for everyone in the community. So Bill said, like I volunteered, hey Bill, you need to do anything? Yes, I need someone to arrange the Highland games. I'm like, oh my God. So he said, but we can't have a caber toss. I'm like, oh yeah, we can. So I said, if we're going to have Highland Games so that all the kids that don't know about the Highland Games can learn about them, we're going to have true Highland Games, kind of backyard Campbell, Yazoo Campbell fashion. So the first game we're going to play is the sheaf toss. And I have my son is going to demonstrate this. Traditionally, competitors used a pitchfork to throw a sheaf, which is a bundle of straw or wheat, over a high bar. For our game, you're going to attempt to throw a pillow as far as you can using this modified mop stick that we have.
Shuffleboard's not till later.
Right forward.
Within a time frame.
Oh, there is preference. You're going to get all the
get there. That was good. It's just got to get there. Where are we going? Good. Ta-da! What have we did?
Hold them up so we.
They're all up there. Look there.
Tell me when to stop. 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 So this is the ace. It brings the two.
Hey, hey.
Bravo.
Right.
Buy some of the costs myself because they go anywhere from $20 all the way up to several hundred. So I made a couple of my own, and the first one is a standard box call made out of poplar with a note top, and you can get several different calls from it. You can get a cluck, can even do it. Or you can get a purr out of it. Standard box call.
All right.
And the other one is poplar walnut and cedar. And it can be made out of any type of wood. They get pretty high price even for the wood.
It worked. You got it.
You can go as loud as you want, you can go as quiet as you want. That's it.
Thank you. Good.
I missed you!